Whenever we find good deals, we run to social media and we're like, oh my God, look what I got. Or you guys, you have to go watch this new show, or there's a new sale. We are so eager to share with others the things that we found. Why are you not doing that with your business? The very thing that keeps the lights on, the very thing that is going to bring you more recognition, that's going to bring you more clients. It's not sleazy. You are sharing. And it's not like you're approaching these people cold. They have reached out to you, they have inquired with you because they want what you have. So you are basically sharing how you can alleviate that pain point, how you can help elevate their vision, how you can bring their vision to life.
Hey everybody, this is Eddie Babbage, founder, CEO of Timeline Genius, also your host of the Wedding Industry Insider Podcast, and I'm here with my friend Terrica. This is going to be an amazing episode. Terrica is the founder of Cocktails and Details, a luxury destination wedding planning and event design firm based in Brunswick, Georgia. She's also the founder of The White Lounge, which is a curated collection of the Golden Isles' most sought-after wedding professionals. She's spoken at various industry conferences like Wedding MBA, Cater Source. She acts as a contributing board member for the North American Academy of Wedding and Event Planning. Terrica, you're amazing, the one and only. I'm so happy to have you on the show. This is going to be a great interview, and thanks for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here with me.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, you are my road dog. I do anything for you. Love it when we get a chance to sit down and talk. It's always good stuff.
Same. Always, always. So I'm going to give people just a little preview here of what we're going to be getting into. We're going to be getting
Okay.
into the concept of, I'm intrigued because you kind of said this in the pre-interview, making money by doing less. That's hot.
Mhm.
I like that. We're going to have to, we're going to be getting into,
Put it on a shirt.
that's it. We're going to be getting into taking a look at the services that you're offering, taking a look at your pricing, and taking a
Mhm.
look at your system. So all of these are very rich topics to get into. But before we do, Terrica, for those that don't know you, that may not have heard some of the previous podcast interviews I've done with you or the webinars that we've done together, can you just tell people a little bit more about your background and how you got to be where you currently are in the industry?
Yeah, so I live in a destination wedding market here in Southeast Georgia. Everybody's like, oh, you live in Georgia. You must be near Atlanta. No, I'm nowhere near Atlanta. I'm actually closer to Florida. So we have three gorgeous islands off of the coast of Georgia. And I do nothing but destination weddings. I rarely work with local clients. So I really had to perfect the long distance planning process with my clients, their families, and their guests. And on top of that, I really had to be strategic about my marketing because, yes, word of mouth is great, but we know that our clients' dynamics change every single season. So I always had to come up with these new innovative ideas to get out there, to be known, and what I wanted to be known for. That's the most important thing because again, being down here in the South, it is nothing but mason jars and burlap and baby's breath. And Eddie, if I wasn't born a girl, I'd be a drag queen. There ain't nothing galvanized tin or mason jar about me at all. So I really had to perfect my brand aesthetic, the services that I offered so that I could attract the clients that I really wanted to work with. And so for the past 7 years, I have been an educator and a speaker within the industry as well. I had hired an amazing coach, shout out to Sasha Souza, who I really wanted to help me get into a specific venue. And she's like, no, you need to be teaching how you do your proposals. You need to be teaching how you do, your sales. And I'm like, oh, that's cute, Sasha, but that's not why I'm here. I just really want to work at this one venue. And she's like, you're thinking too small. Those words
Mm,
changed my life. They changed
mm.
my life. And so now I am out here changing the lives and businesses of so many of our fellow wedding pros.
I love that, Terrica. Yeah, I just have much love just welling up inside me every time we
Oh,
talk. Like I'm just like so grateful for just how
thank you.
supportive you've
Same.
been of Timeline Genius and me, but and just like just the respect that you command in the industry and the good that I know
Thank
you're
you.
doing, and just like people talk a lot about like I've been doing this podcast for years, and like at this point, I mean, I had Sasha on. Everybody, do not like
Mhm.
walk, like run immediately back to the episode that I did. It's years ago. She's amazing. Like she really was
She
dropping
is.
knowledge. But
She
over the
is.
years, one consistent thread, people say, be who you are, and like have the
Hmm.
courage to put yourself out there. And like just what I see you doing. I might be chilling, doing something else, looking at videos on Facebook, and I'm like, damn, like you do you boldly. And it's just amazing and beautiful to watch. And I'm just going to say that to
Thank
kind of kick things
you.
off.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I kind of presented, you and I have done a couple, we've done a lot of trainings and stuff together.
Hmm.
I teed this interview up as you and I were kind of putting our heads together on what to talk about. And I said, Terica, we've got a lot of people running the whole gamut in terms of where they are as wedding planners. Some people just starting, some people decades in. But if there's
Hmm.
like this common sort of thing that I see, particularly once people get to that sort of few years in kind of point, it's really kind of boils down to this notion of I'm not really making the profit that I want.
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm kind of like a little out of control. My business is running me, and I got
Hmm.
into this wanting free time and control, and now I'm just like a slave to my business. And we
Hmm.
started talking about, what would you do to help somebody in that situation? And the first thing you said is, well, you threw out this intriguing idea of making money by doing less. Let's just kind of start with
Absolutely.
that. Explain that a little bit, because most people think, nah, like I got to work
Absolutely.
harder. Like, explain that a little bit to me.
Hmm. No, it's like the old adage where they say, don't work harder, you work smarter. When I have people coming to me for coaching now, and I say, you know what, show me what it is that we're offering your clients. What is it that we're doing? Because you're absolutely right. When we get into that 3 to 5 to 7 year range, that's that 7 year itch, right? We're finding that we're getting burned out. We're not working with the type of vendors that we want to work with. We're not working with the types of clients that we want to work with. We're not doing the weddings that we want. And so we really have to look at, okay, well, who am I attracting? Who do I want to be somebody to? Who am I? And then what am I offering? So when I'm looking at a planner's services, and I just see bullet point after bullet point after bullet point after bullet point. And I'm like, this makes no sense. This is just a laundry list of things. You're doing way too much. And a lot of times we think that if we add more, that's more value. All that does is just take up more white
Right.
space on the page. And you really have to ask yourself, you know what? Am I in business or am I a busy mess? Because I have no systems. I have nothing. I have no assistance. I have nothing going on. I'm being pulled from all the different directions. So I always say, let's find your MVP, right? Not your most valuable player, but your minimum viable product. What is it that we can do the least of, but still get the most out of? Because I promise you, what's going to happen is that a lot of the times we're fire hosing clients when we show them our services, and we are just overwhelming them with things that they don't want, things that they don't need, things that they didn't even ask for. But we're thinking, oh, if we add more, 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 that'll justify the price. That will make them want to add this, or that'll make them really say, yes, I'm going to book. When all the reality is, you know what, Eddie? I'll put it to you like this. It's the difference between Tylenol and a massage. I just taught this week.
Mm,
I say your clients, they coming to you with a pain point. They're coming to you with a headache. Are they asking you for Tylenol or are they asking you for a massage? People are
mm,
more apt to run away from pain than they are to pleasure. So if you and your services can fill that need, if you can get out your prescription pad and write a prescription for that pain point, that's what your service needs to be. It doesn't, you don't have to add anything extra. And I always say, yes, you can absolutely make more by doing less because you're filling that need. And then when you show it as, you know what, not only am I going to fill this need for you, I'm connecting with you in a way that you know that I am the only one that can do this. You don't trust anybody else but me for this. That's going to get me booked. But here is the kicker, the stuff that you just took out, we're going to add it back in on an upsell level. So many people are so scared to upsell within their services because they're like, oh no, it's going to be too salesy. That's not who I am. And I'm like, baby, you and your clients are being upsold every day. You go to McDonald's, they ask you, do you want fries with that? Would you like to, supersize that? You go to
mm.
the grocery store, what happens? It's you got a full cart of groceries, but there's still gum, candy, beef jerky, Slim Jims, chips, magazines, um, lip balm, car chargers. There's always something that you're being upsold again. And these are not replacements for what's in your shopping cart. They are enhancements. They're vehicles of convenience. So all the things that you take out of your services that aren't necessary to filling that pain point, offer them again at your proposal level, at your quote level. I always say, you know what? Do something like add the phrase most couples like you add, and then list a service. Or couples at your venue also add, and then add something else to it. They will absolutely add that on because they're like, wait a minute, one, other people have this and I don't. I definitely need that. Or this seems like it's going to be an enhancement. It's not a replacement. It is a level of convenience. It's more access. So that's what I mean by doing less and making more.
I love that, Terica. That is really dope because there's a guy named Russell Brunson. He's like this marketing like genius, and you're what you're talking about. Like in my mind, like I think of like the value ladder, right? And people see this just
Absolutely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We all see this all the time. We're just not paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to it as much. Like
Yep.
you go on the webpage and it's like, hey, you know, buy my new book on XYZ topic. You buy that and they'll be like, hey, we're going to ship it to you free. And it's cool because that's just what the marketers call the tripwire. That's the first sort of
Exactly.
purchase to get you in the
Mm-hmm.
door. And then after that, it's like, hey, I have this course. And after you do the course, it's like, hey, we actually offer actual coaching and stuff. So there's kind of this customer journey that we think about as
Absolutely.
opposed to there's one transaction where this is the only point of sale. It's like no, like this, and then and I'm sure I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we're not talking about being gangsters forcing this on people. Like, but what is the right
Well,
way
you're
to
not.
sort
I
of get
am. No, no.
you?
I am the Suge Knight of the wedding industry.
Right? I love it. I love it.
I'm hanging them over balconies saying, buy my stuff. No, I promise I'm not.
Oh
I'm
Lord.
not.
Okay, I love
Not
it.
not
I love it.
anymore.
Yeah, you did that to Vanilla Ice. I do believe that
Yeah.
was recorded. I'm also crossing wires with that five heartbeat scene, but like now we're
Yes,
digging
yes,
deep in
yes.
the big red. I can tell it's are from. Okay. Um, but what is the right way to do this, Terica? Like to introduce this without somebody in their own mind feeling like, oh, I'm being slimy here. Like, what's the right tactful way to do it?
I love that you asked this because people always get so upset or they get very nervous. They get very self conscious when it comes time for them to sell themselves, right? So I always say selling is not selling, it's sharing. That's it. I
Mm,
always tell the story about how I was speaking at Wedding Procore in Chicago and I was doing a sales talk. And this woman was like, oh, I'm so excited to hear you, but I hate your topic. I hate sales, whatever, whatever. And I was like, wow, really? And she's like, I just
right.
hate selling. And I'm like, is it really hard for you? She was like, I just feel gross. I hate the rejection, all of that. I said, I totally get that. I was like, well, you know what? I hope you do come to my class and I can help you with something new. But tell me, more about you, what you do. She tells me about her business. And I said, well, you know what, guys? It's a group of us talking. So, I travel so much for work. I am always looking for something to add to my Netflix queue or to my Hulu queue because I need something to watch while I'm on the plane. I was like, you guys got anything? And she begins to tell me about this show that I should watch. And she's like, you remind me so much of one of the characters. And you
Mm,
know what? You act just alike and you say some of the same things. And she does this and she does that. And it comes on here. And then she wears this. And then you'll love it. And then if you go to episode 3, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow, really? And I didn't say anything else. And she said, you just tricked me, didn't you? And I was like, I absolutely did. And she's like, I just sold you on this show. I said, you absolutely did. Why? Well, one, the pressure was off, right? Because it's not her show. She's not going to care whether I like it or not. I said, but the thing is that you shared it with me. Prime Day
yeah.
was just this week. Whenever we find good deals, we run to social media and we're like, oh my God, look what I got. Or you guys, you have to go watch this new show or there's a new sale. We are so eager to share with others the things that we found. Why are you not doing that with your business? The very thing that keeps the lights on, the very thing that is going to bring you more recognition, that's going to bring you more clients. It's not sleazy. You are sharing. And it's not like you're approaching these people cold. They have reached out to you, they have inquired with you because they want what you have. So you are basically sharing how you can alleviate that pain point, how you can help elevate their vision, how you can bring their vision to life. So again, when you change the mindset of, I'm not selling, I'm just sharing, that releases the pressure off of you and for them, because it's okay if you don't want what I have, right? I just said, you know what? No means next. I am not going to sit and dwell and ruminate on your no, because that's taking away time for me getting to the next person. If you don't want what I have, that's completely fine. However, comma, let's go back to your value ladder. I always say, like you said, it's not linear at all. But before I send you out of my business, I'm either going to send you up and down our ladder. So if the first thing
Yeah.
that I introduced you to does not work, well, then let's try this. Maybe you should work with one of my associates. Maybe we can customize a collection for you. A lot of people know from my proposal course that I offer two services in my proposals: the wedding of your dreams and the wedding of your means. How you make that work for you is none of my business. You got to sell feet pictures, elbow pictures, get a third or fourth job. That is totally up to you. But I am selling you what you want, and I'm also selling you what you can afford. And I learned how to do that because I had a client come to me and say, we didn't think that you would work with us because we weren't really in the price range of what you had. And I was like, I absolutely would have. You're not going to be able to get everything you want, but I can fit within your financial comfort zone to ensure you're getting the support that you need. And we're not
Mm.
going to blow the budget. So then I realized, you know what? I don't even want to have that conversation with them. I am just going to give them two options from the very beginning. But there's a psychological way that I present both of those services. One just inherently looks like it's more. It looks like it's better. It looks like it has more quality. It looks like it's more enhanced versus the other one. So they always gravitate towards the larger and the biggest collection. So that's what I always have to say too. It's not selling, it's sharing, right? If I have something that I think you would like, I'm going to share it with you. And I'm not going to be offended if you say no. I can offer you an alternative, and that alternative is either going to be me, an associate, or I'm going to find someone else that can help you. I've gotten a ton of referrals from people that I have referred outside of my company because they enjoyed the customer service that I provided to them. So I think we really need to take ourselves out of it. Look at your brand and your company not so much as you as a whole, but as an extension of you, as another entity of you, and you are sharing that with people. So that way you're not getting caught up if someone says no, if someone ghosts or whatever.
I love that, Terica. It's funny. I'm actually sympathetic to any folks out there that, are a little, have their reservations or self-limiting like
Mm-hmm.
beliefs or whatever around selling, because like my personality, math guy, like I'm just like almost Vulcan like honesty. Like I get real uncomfortable. I just don't do that. And I think
Right.
it's funny. I can't remember which coaching program along my entrepreneurial journey, but whatever, I realized that I had built up this sort of self-limiting conception that like marketing is a lot of BS because I mean
Mm-hmm.
here's a random
Mm-hmm.
example. I mean it wasn't a crazy notion, but it was actually hampering my success. I'm sitting down with my son yesterday and he's looking at this box of cookies and everything on the box of cookies is talking about like it's healthy. I was like, he's like, these are healthy. I'm like, you're not supposed to be eating cookies. He's like, these are healthy. I'm like, look, I'm like, son, you got to think critically. Like, just because they say that, I'm like, let's go to the source of truth. Look at the ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
Mm-hmm.
maltodextrin, like this
Yep.
kind of sugar. That ingredient healthy? And then, so I'm like, he's like, you mean they're just lying? Because he's like me. He almost can't really conceive that people are lying. I'm like, yeah,
Would
they're trying to
lie.
sell
Yeah. Yeah.
their position. And I was like, and even look, I said, he's like, I was like, you see where it says natural flavors? I was like, now let's Google what natural flavors mean. Natural flavors is not healthy. It's not really natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's like made in
Yep.
a lab. So all of this is to say, I think I'm sympathetic to people that realize that there is a lot of marketing, there is a lot of sales that
Mm-hmm.
is done that is like greasy, slimy, and disingenuous. But that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that that's the way you have to do it. I remember Zig Ziglar, I was
Absolutely.
reading this book about selling, and you made me just think of it. Like when you gave the anecdote about the lady telling you about her TV show, he said selling is the transference of feeling. And it's like if
Mm.
you believe in yourself and you know that you're delivering a good service, just like she loved that show, she was just transferring that joy and passion
Yep.
about that show to you, then like you're just doing the world a disservice if you're too reserved or you have these blocks against getting out the
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I had a client come to me and we were just going through, we were trying to get down to why she was getting ghosted and why she wasn't getting enough responses back. And one thing that she said to me was that, oh, I thought that I could show more of my personality once I got them on a call. And I'm like, love, you may never ever get that opportunity. You need to look at every interaction that you have with a client as the first and last that you're going to have.
door.
So
Mm,
you need to make sure that you are giving them everything because not only are they looking at you, they're looking at someone else too. And this is your opportunity to stand out. Don't think that you are owed another chance to show up and do your best. And you absolutely rob us. You rob the industry, you rob your clients, you rob your business, you rob yourself when you don't show up fully as your best self. So I know you'll have a lot of coaches, a lot of marketers out there that'll tell you to spoon feed people. And, again, I don't want to fire hose people at all. But when I am going to be working with you from anywhere between 9 to 18 months, I need to know who you are. I need to see who you are if we're going to connect. Because if I don't get that vibe immediately, I'm picking up my stuff and I'm moving on. And you may not get another opportunity to show me that. So I love that transference of feeling. That is so very true.
Terica, and I knew we'd get on here and just freestyle a little because that's how we do. The as I'm listening to you, I'm like, you have not only your own experience to draw from here, but also you've coached other people, you've seen other
Mm-hmm.
planners try various things, you've seen the challenges that they're hitting. What are you seeing in the cases where either you coach somebody or you just know somebody's situation and you see that they go from kind of struggling to finding that groove, which is not nobody's ever
Oh,
challenge free. You never get to a point in business
right.
where
No,
there's no challenge,
nobody.
but like
Not even me.
you see
Yeah.
people get to like, I'm grooving, I'm making the money I want, I'm loving what I do. Like, what are the key ingredients for success for the people that make that shift?
It's always different. The cogs are always different in everybody's machine, but there is a sort of commonality to it, right? They
Okay.
have pared down their system. They've pared down their systems, they've pared down their services, and they've pared down their staff. And so when I say they pare down their services, I like to Goldilocks things. I don't name my collections because my clients don't care about the names of my collections. Oh, this is the diamond collection. This is the glass slipper collection. They don't care about that. But I only offer three and I call it the Goldilocks. I make one too hot, I make one too cold, and I make one just right. And the one that's in the
Mm,
middle that's just right is the one that I always want to sell. So one is
mm.
absolutely astronomical. One is purposely not enough. And then the one in the middle is what I know that they're going to go for. Now, this might be the whole cookie thing, Eddie. Robert, I'm sorry. This might be the cookie thing,
No, you're not
but
lying. There's nothing disingenuous about it. There's nothing disingenuous about that. It's just presenting different options and kind of winnowing them in. It'd be
absolutely.
different if you're like giving misinformation, like, "Hey, I'm going to do
Sure.
blah blah blah." Actually, you're not a healthy cookie. No, you're selling
Didn't
who you are and what you want. And if
That's
you're not,
very
that's going to
true.
come back. Because somebody may take one of those packages and be like, "She said this was healthy. Why is my blood
Yep.
sugar so high?" Right?
Right.
Like so. Anyway,
That's so true. That's a very good point. And someone asked me once, they were like, "Well, if somebody buys the Dream Collection, what happens?" And I'm like, "Well, I got a ton of work to do, right? I have got a ton of work to do. That's there. Like
yeah, I'm
I'm
gonna buy
damn
your
near
blood
promising to have their first kid. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I guess we're in it to win it now. So you're going to pare down your services. You're going to pare down the amounts that you offer, and you're also going to pare down what's in it. So that's one thing that I see them do. The next thing that I see them do is that they're going to pare down their systems as well. You have to have really good systems to work.
Hello.
We are not with an abacus anymore. We are not with the stone tablets anymore. And we have to
Yeah.
recognize that even if we are used to a certain method of communication, we're used to a certain system, our clients are not. Our clients are getting younger every single year. Unless you are absolutely going for an older demographic, your clients are always going to be younger. So they're always used to different things. We have to catch up. We have to meet them where they are. So you need a good system that's going to help you make your money. It's going to help you work with your clients, and it's going to help you do what you do. So the one that's going to help you make your money is always going to be your CRM. And you and I say this, I think, every single time we are together. There is no one size fits all. If y'all are looking for it, stop. It is right next to Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. It does not exist. Okay, so I hate when people are, I'm like, stop asking.
You know
It's
I'm
not
into that.
happening.
You know I'm into
It's not happening. So, people are like, oh no, I just want this one thing to do this, or can you make it talk to whatever?
that.
And I want you to think about having a house, right? I want you to think about having a house and saying, you know what, I just want to pay one bill. I just want to pay my mortgage, my electric, my internet just to one person.
Right.
That's not how
Right.
it works. That is not how your business is going to work either.
Free.
So you need them in those three categories. You need a system to make your money. You need a system to work with your clients. That's going to be a planning platform that you have. Whatever it is that you use, whether it's industry specific or whether it is project management specific, like Trello, Asana, ClickUp, whatever. And then you need something to help you do what you do. Okay? Because I'm sorry, spreadsheets are only going to get you so far. A Google
Yeah.
Doc is only going to get you so far. So this is why you need things like Mary. You need things like Timeline Genius. You need things that are like Visualist that are going to help you do what you do. So when I noticed that when they finally hit their groove, they have figured out this is what it takes for me to run my business. This is what it takes for me to work with my clients. And this is what it takes for me to do what I do. And I think what happens is that we get so excited and we start trying everything. And then we have all of these systems and we're like, oh, this doesn't work or this doesn't do this. And we're either hemorrhaging money or we just cut off things before we really get an opportunity to use them. So I say you have to invest in your business because look, YouTube University is only going to get you so far and free is only going to get you so far. I would much rather have Timeline Genius do my timelines and manage all that because that's what you do. I don't have to worry about you doing anything extra. You are focused on my timelines. So I know it's going to be leagues and leagues beyond whatever I could type up in a document, whatever I could put in a spreadsheet, because that's what you do. And you have, just as you are expecting your clients to trust you, you have to trust your coaches, you have to trust your systems to help elevate your business.
As a wedding planner, you know how important it is to create detailed wedding day timelines for your events. But creating your timelines can be a tedious and time-consuming job. Until now. Because Timeline Genius lets you create beautiful, detailed wedding day timelines with ease. And it keeps everything you need on the wedding day in one central place. Here's how it works. First, Timeline Genius saves all your clients, vendors, and venues in your Rolodex, so you don't lose time looking for their information. And when you're ready to create a new timeline, you simply enter the key information for your wedding. Click a button, and voila! Timeline Genius magically gives you a customized timeline for your event, where all the details are laid out and the times are calculated for you. From there, you can easily edit your timeline by adding or deleting items, inserting images, changing font styles, and customizing everything to your liking. You can also instantly shift the times for as many items as you want. And when it comes to your clients and vendors, Timeline Genius lets you give them the highest level of service. You can send them tailored timelines, showing only the items they're involved in. And you can collaborate by inviting them to a mobile-friendly, web-based version of the timeline. You can even set text message reminders to automatically go out on the wedding day. And once you've completed your perfect timeline, you can download it or email it out as a beautifully styled PDF. And that's Timeline Genius, a smart software that will help take your wedding planning to the next level. Start your free trial today.
It's funny, Terica. Usually in a podcast, I do a little cutaway, and just tell folks, about Timeline Genius. I mean, you've just teed this up very nicely because, just as an entrepreneur, systems are so important. Obviously, you got
So
to
important.
constantly be working on your business, on your systems,
Hmm.
and yeah, I'll just, it's weird. I found myself sort of thinking, my usual sort of spiel. I just say, look, if you're out there doing your timelines, I just want you to know there's a better way. If you're using Google Docs or spreadsheets or whatever, there's a service that's been built for this. So yeah, go to timelinegenius.com, watch the video, start a free trial. But it's funny, as I was kind of just reflecting as you were talking, I'm like, that's all we've done for 11 years is focus on building this
Hmm.
tool. And we did launch a checklist feature set, but really a checklist is just a timeline that spans a
That's it.
multi-month period. So it's not even
That's
like
it.
we're venturing in. It's not like we just started doing floor planning. Shout out to Mary. Like, you're not going to see that. We're focused on being the Rolls Royce of
Right,
your time,
right.
you know. And but it's weird. It's like I was kind of like reflecting. I'm like, why doesn't everybody just use that? Like I kind of, it's sometimes it's like it's interesting. I mean, I'm cool. We've got an amazing customer base. It's growing every week, but like it's just funny to me that somebody would kind of say, I mean, I guess if you're a hobbyist and you've got one wedding to do, okay, different story, like it doesn't really matter too much. But if you're like, no,
Hmm.
I'm serious about being a wedding planner, like there's so many people that use it, and it's like the only tool that's just really designed for this, that lets you not
For
only save
that.
time, so set text reminders to go out so you're looking in, on point. Collaborate with people in a real-time mobile friendly. Like it's just better. And it's like, and it's validated by so many planners around the world at this point, especially here in the US. It's just, yeah, I really think, and it's not really just about Timeline Genius because your point is so much bigger. As a tech entrepreneur, if you're not leveraging technology, if you've
Oh
got
my
this
God.
mindset,
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest roadblocks, I don't know if you see this, Terica, but I feel like one of the biggest roadblocks that people have, and again, it's not just about Timeline Genius here, this is all of the tools at your disposal, is a reluctance to invest in that,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and or or an ego rooted notion of, well, I already know how to do this and my system
Hmm.
already works.
Hmm.
And a
Hmm.
reluctance to be like, I'm going to try something new. Because what if I try it and it doesn't
Hmm.
work? But like all three of those things will just, will really hamper your success. Like you got to be willing to try the
Absolutely.
something new, potentially better. You got to be willing to invest in your business. I don't know. What are your sort of thoughts on what holds people back from getting their systems to the A+ level that they should be at?
There's three things I think it is. One is absolutely there's a fear of technology. There is just like an absolute I, my best friend Fausto, shout out to Fausto of Blue Elephant Catering and Events in Maine, always says he's like a digital immigrant. He doesn't know anything about tech or anything at all. And I'm like, I get that.
Yeah.
There's just some people who are just like, no, I can't do it. Then there are some people who are just arrogant in thinking, I know better. I know
Yeah.
everything. So I don't
Yeah.
need to get better. And then there is also a money obstacle that's there where people are like, oh, I can't afford that. But then it's like, can you afford not to? Because it's not
Yeah.
like we only shared this system with you. This system is out there for you, for your competitors, for your fellow vendors. So if everybody is stepping their game up and they're
Right.
up here and you're down here, why would your client hire you? How are you going to ask a client to invest in you when you're not even investing in your business? How is it that you want full price for all of your services, but you keep, tricking into free trials and doing, taping and duct taping little systems together that don't work, but you're claiming that you're luxury? That's, you know what, that's the equivalent to me of saying that you're luxury in Comic Sans font. That's like saying that you're luxury in papyrus font. Like, we don't, like, to quote Saint Jay-Z of Brooklyn, the perpetual hustler, we don't believe you. You need more people. I'm sorry. It just does not translate. It does not translate at all. And so for those of you who have met me for the first time, all I do is speak in movie and hip hop lyrics. So welcome to my world.
which is why we get on so well, Terrica.
So well,
Love it.
so well.
Is that
But you
her,
know what, Eddie? I
JD?
want to tell you this story. I want to tell you this story. So a
Yep.
couple years ago, my boyfriend and I, we were going to back to his hometown. And we stopped at the gas station. He's like, "You wait here in the car. I'm gonna go." I can't even remember what he was going to go get, like a drink or something. Eddie, I wish I was lying to you, but I swear to God, I'm not. The gas station sold tires, rims, chicken, and was a market. Okay. And I'm sitting there like so confused. Like, what is happening right now? I don't know if I can trust anything that's coming out of there, right? So that's why I always tell my students too to be very mindful of that all in one thing. If they're doing it all, they're not doing one
Yeah,
thing great. You know what I mean? They're not doing
yeah,
that one, they're not doing that chicken great. I swear to God, they're not
yeah.
doing that chicken great in
Somebody
the gas
said
station.
and a cheeseburger on the menu. I'm not eating the sushi, and I probably won't get the burger either.
And I'm sure as hell not getting my tires and rims from there. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, you really have to question sometimes, do I want to focus on this system where this is all that they do? This is what they specialize in. And I know that, it's always going to be upgraded. It's going to have the best features. It's going to be what I need. And I just have, three separate things that I work in. Or am I going to try to jimmy rig something together and I'm going to
Yeah,
be responsible for updating it? I'm going to be responsible for fixing it or being customer support and all of these things. It is just not worth it. It is not worth it at all because the job of your systems is to take a lot of the heavy lifting off of your plate. It's to do so much more for you, to automate things, to create templates. Because this is my thing, if you want to grow, if you want to scale, and that's where a lot of people are in that 3 to 5 year range. I'm like, I want to grow, I want to get a team, I want to get a brick and mortar, I want to do those things. If you're ready to scale, your job is to fire yourself from every single position that you have.
I
The
love it.
end, that's it. If you are still doing everything yourself, if you're still building it from scratch, you are not going to go anywhere because you are working in the business instead of on the business, which is where you need to be. You need to be promoting yourself every single time. So if you can never get yourself out of the mindset of free, 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 or I can't learn anything new, then your business, where it is right now, is at the extent of which it is going to grow until you are ready to make a change.
Man, I love that so much. I mean, it's funny too, just to kind of like veer slightly philosophical here, just kind of looking just 10,000-foot view. What people should understand is like you're out there, you're planning your weddings, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
you're running your business. And for any of the services that are out there, which increasingly today like are SaaS, software as a service, like there's a
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
software, it used to be, show up at a store and buy a box that had like a
Oh my
CD and
God,
you
I remember that. I remember that. Or a
right?
floppy disk. I'm really going to show my age now. On a
Exactly. I'm
floppy
right there
disk.
with you. I'm right there. And now, I mean, the whole power of like the SaaS revolution is like now it's all web based. So upgrades, it used to be you had to wait on the next version of
Yep.
XYZ software to ship. But now we're shipping, at Timeline Genius, and most sites are new versions of our product like every week. We're pushing updates
Yep.
literally every week. So just if you just take a step back, you're like, okay, there are groups of really talented people that
Mm-hmm.
all they're doing day in, day out is working to fashion technology to suit the work that I do.
Yep.
It's not just a hammer because a hammer you build it, you're done. It's like the hammer just keeps getting better and better and better and better and better. And while that gives you the luxury to focus on these things that we're talking about, to think about your pricing, to think about your sales workflows, while there's this other company thinking about, like, shout out to Rock Paper Coin, yeah, for your
Mm-hmm.
contracts, like that's all they're thinking about all day long. So you really have to take advantage of those. And I like the way you're talking about like the sort of stack there, Terica. Um, so in terms of building my systems out, Terica, like how would you
Mm-hmm.
just sort of like, and I know there's more here than we can completely unpack in like the span of just one interview here, but what do you say to somebody if they're like, okay, touche, you got me, Terica. I'm listening. I know I need to lean into upgrading my systems. What do you tell that person to practically do to upgrade their systems?
The first thing I say is, again, let's focus on the first part, which is making you money. We have to streamline your workflows into your system so that whenever you get an inquiry, your workflow kicks in. And your workflow is going to kick in based on your availability, based on the service that they're inquiring about, based on the time of year, whatever. That needs to be built into your system, because what's happening is that, again, we know our clients are copying and pasting emails. They are copying and pasting things that they are putting into contact forms. And it is typically the early bird that gets the worm. And so you want your system to be there to respond, to give out information. And I always say, we don't want to fire hose. We want to give them a taste. Can I sell you at the first communication? Absolutely. Will I? No, because I need to make sure that you are my people. Just because you inquire with me does not mean that you're my client. You know what I mean? It's just like in dating. Just because someone finds you attractive does not mean that they are your person. So you are not going to propose to them at the first compliment. Instead, you are going to get to know them and make sure that your values align, that you vibe, and that it's going to make sense. And then you can go into taking it further, whether it's a consult, whether it's a call, questionnaire, it's a proposal, whatever it is. That's where you want to go. And you want to make sure that that is built so that it is always working for you. And let's say they don't bite on the first communication. You are more apt to book a client at least an increase of 20% by following up at least 2 to 4 times. And I think that if you have a really great system that has your follow-ups built in, you are going to book more as well. So get that together and then figure out, okay, what do I need to do my job? Okay, well, I'm a designer, so I need this system. I'm a planner, I'm a coordinator, I need this system. I am working with my vendors, I need this system. I teach all of my students and my clients to go and look at the features and benefits of not only your service, but the systems that you're using, and add them into all of your collateral, because this is what you are offering to your clients. Your clients need to know what they have access to. So yes, tell them about the features and benefits of Timeline Genius and how that's going to make their day run so much smoothly. And, not only with them, but they get to collaborate with you and your vendors and your team, and everybody is always going to be up to date. There aren't going to be any snafus. My thing, my go-to, and I swear to God, if y'all steal it, I'm gonna know who you are and I'm coming after you. But during all of my first consultations, my go-to line is that, we built out an amazing event blueprint document so that, my kid could run it if necessary. But it's my
Yeah.
job to make sure that everybody knows what's happening. I love surprises. They're for Chuck E. Cheese parties and not weddings. That always gets a good laugh, but that lets them know that I am going to be so dedicated with the documents that we create for your wedding day so that everybody is on the same page. And if we can go back to it being a price issue, it really shouldn't be a price issue, right? I always say when it comes to sales, whether it's you booking or you selling whatever it is that you have for your amenities, price is only an issue in the absence of value. If it's an
There you
issue
go.
for them, they don't value what you're saying, or you have not sold them the value. You have not gone into the features and benefits of why it should mean something to them. Roll the cost of your systems into your price. You should not be struggling every month to pay for your subscriptions for your systems, the very things that you need to work, when it should be rolled into your price. You should know how much it costs for you to get a client, and you should also know what
Yep.
it costs for you to maintain and keep that client, for you to work with that client. That should already be built in. So yeah, that's what I think you need to start first with on your services. And then after that, because a lot of your communications can be done via email, in person with your meetings, depending on how you work with your clients, you can then figure out, how do I want to work with my clients? Do I want a planning platform to work with my clients? But the first two that you need is getting booked and helping you do what it is that you do.
I love that, Terica. And you just touched on something, actually, two dots that I'm going to connect here. Again, talking about Sasha Souza. I remember when she talked about her transformation and it came down to pricing. That was
Mm-hmm.
like a breakthrough. Just from like a numbers perspective, like we know that like if you've got the wrong pricing, it's going to be really hard. Like that affects so much other stuff. If you're not making the profit and you're trading your time for a
For
dollar amount
money.
that doesn't work,
Hmm.
then you're not going to have the resources to invest in the systems that you need and all of that. So you just
Absolutely.
mentioned pricing. And I realize also, caveat here, we could talk for 2 hours just about pricing, but I feel like I'd be remiss in my duties if I didn't ask you to speak, at least at a high level, about this important pillar of a wedding planning business. How do you think about pricing? How do you see people doing it right? And how do you see them doing it wrong? And by wrong, I mean in a way that is undermining their own wellness and
Mm,
success.
absolutely. The first thing that they do, Eddie, is they copy somebody else's pricing.
Okay.
You know what I say, you know what, you absolutely can't do that, because what might pump me up might kill you. So don't copy anything that I have. We are not the same. My ceiling might be your floor. So you actually need to look at what it is that I'm offering. Because remember, I just told you to pare some things down. So you should have cut some things out and build a workflow from that. Figure out how many hours does it take for me to do this thing? How many hours does it take for me to coordinate? How many hours does it take for me to research my vendors or confirm or coordinate my vendors? How many hours does it take for me to design? And then put that in there, and then figure out what is it that I really want to make, right? And then figure out, all right, so we've got the amount of hours, I got what I want to make, and then figure out what your hourly rate is going to be, and then break that down into a holistic package, into a number, and then that'll give you an idea as to where you need to be with your pricing. Then you need to look at your market. Is this something that's sustainable for my market? Is this something that people are willing to pay for in my market? If not, there are two things that you need to do. You either need to relocate, and I don't mean picking up your whole house and moving. Maybe you're just operating in a larger city or the next city so that you can access those higher budgets that are willing to pay the premium that you're asking for. Or you meet the needs of your clients in your market. There are far more Walmarts than there are designer stores, right? But they're serving two totally different markets. And I don't see Walmart going broke anytime soon. So you can absolutely, I love it when they say you can give luxury to the classes and luxury to the masses. And I always consider a wedding a luxury, because at the end of the day, you can go right down to the justice of the peace, pay for a license, say I do, and go about your business. Everything else is a luxury. Everything else is a luxury. So that's why I also don't really get hung up on pricing when clients are like, oh, this is too much. Okay, well, this is what you want, right? Because if you really wanted to get married, you could literally go down to the courthouse and do that. But this is what you want, and this is what it costs. It is not my job as a wedding professional to make my services fit within your budget. It's just not. Now, can I? Sure. Are you going to get everything that you've asked for? Probably not, but I'm going to fit within your financial comfort zone. But if you want this particular vision, it's going to cost that. But the worst thing that you can do for your self-confidence, for your business, is to jack someone else's pricing, to jack someone else's services and try to run with it when you have no idea what it takes for them to pull that off. You don't know what systems they're using. You don't know what type of team that they have. You don't know how many hours that they're putting in. And I always love to say, when you are running someone else's race, that is a fast track to the grave, and there are no bunk beds and caskets. Whoever it is that you copied is not going down with you. It is going to be you by yourself. So you need to know what it is that you can take and what it is that you can sustain. And again, you have to absolutely know what it takes for you to get a client and what it takes for you to maintain and keep that client. I always say it's like dating. You cannot introduce a client to a vibe you are not willing to maintain. So you cannot come out in your first consult talking about, oh, we do luxury, we give this client experience. And then when they work with you, it is so lackluster. You have to maintain that all the way through. And that's going to cost money. There are going to be clients that are going to want to pay that. There are also going to be clients that don't want to pay that. This is why I'm also a huge advocate, and I know a lot of people aren't, of tiered brands. I will serve a luxury market, and I will also serve a middle market as well. People do this all of the time. Think about it as cars, Toyota and Lexus, right? Mercedes and Maybach. They do it all of the time. There are so many tiered brands that are out there. But if you just have your blinders on and you're like, I only want to do this and I can only do this, you are shutting yourself out from, you're leaving so much money on the table, first of all. And then you're shutting yourself out from so many other opportunities where you can really flourish.
That's such a key idea. It's something that I've like become more attuned to. But yeah, this notion of like you want your positioning to be right. You want to speak very
Mm-hmm.
clearly and compellingly to an avatar, like an ideal client.
Yes.
And it's hard
Yes.
to do that if you're trying to pitch to two diametrically opposed avatars,
Mm-hmm.
right? At two
Mm-hmm.
very different
Absolutely.
sort of strata of the industry,
Absolutely.
but having that sort of off, like a separate brand, is a
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. Like the other thing that about copying somebody else's pricing is, and I love that system that you just rattled off. Like I hope people hit pause, rewind, and go back and take notes on that. Like that was very clean and concise. The other thing is if you're taking somebody else's pricing, right, that's not at all fashioned to your lifestyle ambitions, right? Like you might say,
Absolutely.
like, how much money do you need? Like their whole personal income situation and desire and needs, like their financial needs could be totally different than yours, but
Mm-hmm.
your pricing coupled with your event volume and your
Mm-hmm.
profit margin should ideally be giving you the income that you are seeking. One thing that I see people, and I'm sure you've seen this too, Terica, it's largely, I think, psychological, but I think people can get this imposter sim. It can be hard to charge what you're worth
So
sometimes,
hard.
right? Like,
It's so
I
hard.
mean, what
Yeah,
do
it's
you
very
say to
hard.
people who are like, I feel you, Terica, but I'm just sure if I raise my prices, somebody's going to come along and be like, you're not worth all that. Why are you so expensive? And I can go to that person whose pricing you didn't copy. I can just go over there. Like that's what I'm not saying that's what people necessarily will say, though some probably will. But I'll let
They
you
do.
speak to
They
it.
do. Hmm. They do.
People are worried about that. Like, how do you speak to that? It's like it all sounds well and good, but I'm scared because I'm going to raise my prices and nobody's going to book me anymore. They're going to call me out for being overpriced. What do you say to that?
Let them. Let them. No one raises or bats an eye when Michael Jordan drops another tennis shoe. Nobody goes nuts when Mary J. Blige dropped her new boots. Everybody was like, no, she needs to lower them. That costs too much. Her market won't be able to sustain it. Her market can't pay for them. They sold out in 4 hours. Let them. Do not allow your fear to psych out your success. I will tell you a
Hmm.
story. I had a client and we worked so hard on her pricing, Eddie. We pared down the services. We figured out how many hours. We had the perfect workflow. We incorporated all the systems. We knew what it would cost in order for her to perform this service. And we saw the profit. We were at a point where we were like, you're going to meet your goal, but just by doing 10 weddings a year, you can do this. We
Wow.
did the market research. We saw that people were willing to pay this amount, and I'll give you a little formula for that in just a second. So she's like, okay, I'm ready. I got my first inquiry. I sent them over my service magazine. They set up a time for us to talk. And so I called her beforehand. I was like, look, you got this. We have practiced your sales consult. We have gone through your services. You know your features and benefits up and down. This is just a conversation. This is just you sharing with them. She goes into it. She's like, okay, I can do it. She goes into the consultation. I said, call me as soon as you're done. She goes into the consultation. She calls me later and she's not excited. And I'm like, well, what happened? I said, did they balk at the pricing? What happened? She's like, no, they booked. And I'm like, okay, well, why aren't you excited? She said, because I chickened out and I gave them my old
Oh,
pricing. I didn't give them my new
hey.
pricing.
Uh,
And I said, oh God. And she's like, but that's not, she said, I'm so pissed at myself, but this is why. She said, they told me that they were expecting to pay twice what I charged them. They thought that I would charge them so much more, and they had been willing,
wow.
they had budgeted to pay twice that. So you just totally psych yourself out. You know what I mean? When you allow you can always go down, but you can't go up. If you balk at my pricing, I can say, okay, well, let me work with you. I can't offer you a lesser price service and say, I think I'm going to raise it now. You know what I mean? So it's very important for you to have so much confidence into what you bring to the table and knowing that there is so much value in the service that you offer. It's not just you showing up and doing your thing, it's you providing an experience for a couple, their family, their guests, and even your fellow creative collaborators that are there. You are taking care of so many people. So don't allow your fear to psych out your success.
I love that, Terica. And, I could do this for hours, and there's so much. I mean, we've covered the points that we talked about, your services, making money by doing less, raising your prices, checking out and upgrading your systems. I always have one, and I'm going to get to this at the end of the interview, like one last sort of key question that I'm going to ask. But before I do, if people are listening right now, um, well, I know that you have a membership. Let's just I want to just invite you to talk about your membership, because there are people that are going to want to go deeper than we're able to
Yeah.
go on just a limited podcast. Can you talk a little bit about this membership that you have?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a membership called Wedding Pro University, and it's where I have taken everything I have created and put it into one hub. So you can come there and you can learn about your sales, you can learn about your pricing, you can learn about selling design, creating designs, you can learn about your client experience both throughout the planning process, onboarding, offboarding, you can learn about workflows. There are so many different, what I like to call majors, that you can come in and look for. So, what I really wanted to do, Eddie, is I wanted to provide a place for people, one, to have community, because I think that that's so important. I think that we don't have enough, just in life in general, not even just in the industry, of people surrounding us telling us how great we're doing or that we can do it when we have an idea in our head. So we end up listening to our fears. We end up listening to those self limiting beliefs that you talked about. So, one, it's a community. And two, it's a place where if you're like, you know what, today I really need to work on my client experience, you can go in and you can get all of the classes to that. There are over 100+ digital courses, products, videos in there. So you're not just stuck to one thing. I also teach a live workshop every single month, and I have office hours so that you can also come in and ask questions as well. And when you enroll into the university, you can build your own curriculum. So it's going to ask you, what are your challenges right now? What do you want to work with? And then it shows you, okay, well, these are the classes that you can take. And you can always do that throughout the course of your business, because our needs and our challenges change all of the time, whether it's social media, whether it's advertising, no matter what it is, learning new systems, you're always evolving and your needs are always going to change. So I wanted to make it very robust and I wanted to make it very complete, but I also wanted to make it very accessible to people as well. It's just a monthly membership. It's a subscription. You can cancel at any time. You get what you need and you take it and you leave the rest. There's templates there, questionnaire templates. There's so much there that can add so much value to your business.
Terica, that's amazing. And where do people go
Thank you.
to get involved?
You can go
Where
to
where
www.hustlequarters.com, and there is where you can sign up for and learn more about Wedding Pro University.
I love it. I'm just gonna say I am. This is gonna sound a little weird because I know that wedding planning, it's a very stressful job. I talk to planners. I know it's not easy, but I will say, as an entrepreneur, I'm almost like a little bit jealous because there's a really simple insight that I stumbled upon in life, and I think it's relevant here and it's really powerful. And it is, if there's something you're trying to do, find somebody who's done it and let them
Hmm.
tell you what they did. It's not going to
That's
mean
so
that you
true.
can just exactly, like, that doesn't solve everything, but Lord
Hmm.
knows that can help you navigate around a lot of potholes, and it can really shorten the path to success. And when I said, that I'm jealous of planners, it's like it's hard. Like, as a tech entrepreneur, my
Yeah.
company is very different. I can't just go and find another tech entrepreneur and be like, "Give me your playbook, dude." Like, yeah, there's
Yeah.
stuff to
Yeah.
be learned, but like,
Right.
you're a wedding planner. You're a wedding planner, right? Like,
Hmm.
you are doing the thing. You've made
Hmm.
this accessible for people. Now, granted, you might need to watch like your information source, but your source, you're legit, legit. Like, I just would encourage anybody in our Timeline Genius community who've been listening to this podcast, please do not pass go. Go check this out.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the one question that I sort of teased here, you've been on the show before, so you probably know what's coming, is if you could give Terrica one piece of advice to all of our wedding planners out there,
Mm-hmm.
based on all of your experience personally and professionally, that would help them as much as possible in building a thriving business and building the professional life that they want, what would that
Mm-hmm.
one piece of advice be?
Oh my God, be true to you. Be true to you. If you know my story, you know that I had a huge trademark battle and I lost my name. I changed my name a few times. I went through several iterations of my brand and logos. It was not until I finally encapsulated who I wanted to be inside of my brand and I really got a good idea of the type of services that I wanted to offer and the type of people that I wanted to work with and that would value me, that my success just took off. And so that's why it means so much to me that you say, oh, you show up as you and you're so authentic. When I came into speaking and I came into educating, I promised myself I would not make that same mistake, that I was always going to show up as me. And people feel that, they love it. You know what I mean? I like to brag very arrogantly that I'm your favorite speaker's favorite speaker. So it
Mm,
means something.
mm.
It means something to have somebody connect with you, and we can't connect with you if you are not showing us who you really are. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And that goes from buying something, booking a client, working with a certain vendor. If it's not true to you, please don't do it, because this world and this industry needs who you are, and we don't want you to rob us of that experience.
You're making me think of the hip hop lyric my boy always talks about. He's like, oh, what is it? It's sky is the limit. It's Biggie's like, only make moves when your heart's in it. Hold
Yep,
on.
that's
I
right.
got to
That's right.
talk to you. Hold on. So,
We always quote
yeah, he
Biggie when
says,
we're together. I don't know if you know that, but we always quote Biggie when we are together. Always, always.
he says, stay far from timid. Only make moves when your heart's in it. And
Heart
live
is
the
in it.
phrase,
That's
guys.
right.
Love it.
That's right.
Love it, man.
It's all good, baby, baby.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's all good, baby, baby. Yeah,
And by
I
the way,
mean,
you should
I
know that
know
that's
I'm
my doormat too. That my doormat literally says it's all good, baby, baby. Like I am a true hip hop head. A true hip hop head.
you and me both, Erica. I mean, it's funny. I remember like it was Run DMC's "Raising Hell." I'm like I'm a little biased in being sympathetic toward your brand because like your brand is like my jam, and I'm like I don't know what other people who aren't into hip hop the way I like. I'm like that's my girl right there. Like Saint Jay Z, that's my girl. Like you talk about reasonable doubt, but it's but I love it, man, and like whatever your thing is, like be that, do that,
Be
right? Like
that.
because there's
Yep.
no other you out there. But I also know that it takes some courage, like to. I mean, people might see you and
Yes.
just be like, well. That's just who she's just brash like that. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like that. You tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's something that like you lean into intentionally. That I'm gonna
Very
put me.
intentionally.
Maybe everybody. I'm guessing like you might be a magnet for some and not for others, and that's okay.
Oh,
But you're like, I'm gonna
absolutely. Absolutely.
be real. Well, and people can feel that authenticity. Like you can feel it, and there's like an energy, like there's an energy that like emanates from like your true self when you're putting it out there. It's a
So
really, really
true.
dope thing.
So
Yeah.
true. And I tell people,
Uh,
even when I talk, I'm like, you know what? And if you don't like it, go to therapy and get well soon, because it is what it is. I love me.
oh man, I love it, Terica. I love it, love it, love it. I will get you back on here as many times as I can. I love every time we
Thank
talk and
you.
interact.
Same.
And yeah, just thank you, Terica, for doing what you do. Thank you for sharing
Thank
your
you.
experience and knowledge bombs here with our podcast audience. And yeah, always a pleasure.
Thank you.